Welcome to Whispers and Confessions. There might be a twist waiting, so please make sure to watch until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Let's begin right away.
My name is Olivia, and this is my story. After 2 decades of marriage, the once vibrant passion between my husband Wesley and I had begun to wane, a reality I never imagined possible in our early years together. We had started our journey thinking we knew each other inside and out, but as the years rolled by, we found ourselves buried under the weight of daily routines and responsibilities. The spark that once ignited our relationship slowly dimmed, like a candle burning low in a drafty room. Our children, once the center of our shared world, had grown up and moved out, leaving Wesley and I alone in a house that suddenly felt too big and too quiet. The excitement and anticipation that had characterized our early days together had vanished somewhere along the way, lost in the shuffle of bills, work commitments, and the mundane tasks of everyday life. Gradually, we began to drift apart, like two boats slowly carried away by different currents. As I reflected on our relationship, I couldn't shake the feeling that something vital was missing. The comfortable familiarity we had built over the years was no longer enough to sustain the deep connection we once shared. I found myself yearning for something new, something that could reignite the passion and intimacy that had faded over time. The idea of reconnecting with Wesley in a meaningful way became an obsession, driving me to consider options I never thought I'd entertain. One evening, as we sat across from each other in our living room, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavy between us, I decided to broach the subject. "Wesley," I began, my voice barely above a whisper, "don't you think we could use a change in our relationship?" The moment the words left my lips, I saw a flicker of surprise in his eyes, quickly followed by a hint of apprehension. "What do you mean by a change?" he asked, his brow furrowed with concern. I hesitated, knowing that my next words could potentially alter the course of our marriage forever. Taking a deep breath, I continued, "We've been together for so long, and lately, I can't help but feel like something's missing. It's as if the love and passion we once had is slowly slipping away from us." Wesley lowered his head, his silence speaking volumes. Gently, I pressed on, "I want us to rediscover each other, to see our relationship through fresh eyes. What if we tried something completely new? Something that could help us rekindle what we've lost?" I paused, gathering my courage before making my suggestion. "What would you think about participating in a couple swapping event?" The moment the words left my mouth, I saw a myriad of emotions flash across Wesley's face: shock, confusion, and perhaps a hint of curiosity. "Are you serious?" he asked, his voice a mix of disbelief and intrigue. I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest. "Yes, I am. But I won't push you into anything you're not comfortable with. I just thought it might offer us a new perspective on our relationship, help us see each other in a different light." A heavy silence fell between us as Wesley processed my suggestion. After what felt like an eternity, he took a deep breath, his eyes meeting mine with a mixture of trepidation and resolve. "All right," he said softly, "let's try it." In that moment, an indescribable cocktail of emotions flooded through me: nervousness, anticipation, and even a hint of excitement. For the first time in years, we were about to embark on a completely new experience together, one that held the potential to either reinvigorate our marriage or change it irrevocably. With our decision made, we dove into researching couple swapping events with the thoroughness of scholars preparing for a crucial exam. Hours turned into days as we scoured the internet, reading reviews, comparing options, and discussing our findings. We were determined to find an event that prioritized safety, privacy, and respect for all participants. Through this process of exploration and open dialogue, I felt a new connection forming between Wesley and me. Our conversations about hopes, fears, and boundaries brought us closer, rekindling a sense of intimacy we hadn't experienced in years. Once we had chosen an event that met our strict criteria, we immersed ourselves in understanding and preparing for the experience. The organizers had implemented a comprehensive set of rules and guidelines designed to ensure the physical and emotional well-being of all participants. One of the most crucial requirements was the submission of recent STD test results, no older than 3 months. This mandatory step provided a sense of security and demonstrated the event's commitment to participants' health. In addition to the medical precautions, the organizers required all couples to undergo a pre-event interview with a professional counselor. This session proved invaluable, helping us navigate the complex emotions that such an experience might evoke. The counselor provided insights into potential psychological impacts and offered strategies for maintaining open communication throughout the process. We also signed a detailed confidentiality agreement, ensuring that our privacy and that of other participants would be strictly protected. As the day of the event approached, our anticipation grew. The organizers continued to demonstrate their commitment to participant safety and comfort by providing essential items for safe intimacy and establishing a universal, safe word that could be used to halt proceedings at any time, no questions asked. These meticulous precautions and clear guidelines helped alleviate much of our anxiety, allowing us to approach this new experience with a mixture of nervousness and excitement. Standing on the threshold of this new chapter in our relationship, I couldn't help but feel a sense of hope. Whatever the outcome, Wesley and I were facing this challenge together, united in our desire to rediscover the passion and connection that had brought us together all those years ago. As we prepared to step into the unknown, I squeezed Wesley's hand, drawing strength from his presence and the love that, despite everything, still bound us together. We meticulously crafted a set of personal guidelines to navigate this uncharted territory. Our first and foremost rule was to maintain open, honest communication, respecting each other's feelings throughout the process. We vowed to seek explicit consent before engaging in any activity, ensuring both of us felt comfortable at every step. We constantly reminded ourselves that this experience was meant to strengthen our bond, not strain it. Lastly, we established a clear, safe word that would immediately halt proceedings if either of us felt overwhelmed or uncomfortable. The selection of our swapping partners was a delicate process. We sought a couple we could trust implicitly, preferably friends or acquaintances who, like us, were looking to rekindle the spark in their own marriage. After careful consideration, we found what seemed to be the perfect match: George, my childhood friend, and his wife Emily. Despite the years that had passed since our last interaction, George and I had always shared a deep connection. While I had never met Emily, Wesley was also acquainted with George, which added an extra layer of comfort to our decision. When George and Emily accepted our proposal, a wave of relief washed over me. The familiarity of an old friend provided a sense of security, though it didn't completely quell the butterflies in my stomach. A nagging doubt persisted. Are we truly making the right choice? Despite these lingering uncertainties, we decided to take the plunge, clinging to the hope that this experience would bridge the growing chasm in our relationship. As the day of the event dawned, our anticipation reached a fever pitch. With hearts pounding like drums in our chests, we made our way to the venue. My hand was intertwined tightly with Wesley's, my eyes searching his face for any signs of hesitation. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah, I'm okay. Just a bit nervous," he replied, his voice betraying a tremor of anxiety that mirrored my own. Outwardly, I struggled to maintain a facade of calm, but internally, my heart was racing at a marathon pace. Upon our arrival, we were greeted by the sight of other couples, their faces a canvas of emotions ranging from excitement to apprehension. It was clear that everyone present shared a common goal: to view their relationships through a new, potentially transformative lens. As my eyes scanned the room, they locked with George's. His familiar smile and warm greeting of "It's been a while" transported me back in time. For a moment, I was that young girl again, sharing secrets and dreams with my childhood confidant. The surreal nature of our current circumstances hit me like a tidal wave, leaving me momentarily overwhelmed. I introduced myself to Emily, taking in her youthful appearance and striking figure. The four of us shared a light toast, the clink of our glasses punctuating the palpable tension in the air. I couldn't help but smile at the nervous energy radiating from everyone. Squeezing Wesley's hand, I leaned in close and whispered, "It's going to be fine. There's nothing to worry about." His reply of "okay" was accompanied by a cold, slightly trembling hand, a physical manifestation of the anxiety we were both battling. In that moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for Wesley's willingness to embark on this journey with me. Observing George and Emily, I noticed they too were holding hands, exchanging reassuring smiles. This sight provided a modicum of comfort, reinforcing the trust we had placed in our chosen partners. As my confidence began to grow, I found myself becoming increasingly aware of George's presence. The prospect of intimacy with my childhood friend stirred a maelstrom of conflicting emotions within me, a potent cocktail of anticipation, anxiety, excitement, and fear, all swirling together like leaves caught in an autumn breeze. As the evening progressed, we eased into the experience with a lighthearted game designed to break the ice. We took turns asking each other simple questions about our preferences and hobbies, our laughter gradually melting away the initial awkwardness. With each shared anecdote and playful revelation, we found ourselves opening up, our comfort levels rising steadily. To my surprise and relief, the event was unfolding in a far more enjoyable manner than I had dared to hope, setting the stage for the more intimate encounters that lay ahead. As night descended, we retreated to our designated rooms, Wesley with Emily and I with George. The moment I crossed the threshold, my heart thundered in my chest, a palpable reminder of the enormity of what we were about to do. George's eyes met mine, a mirror of my own nervousness. His voice, usually confident, now held a hint of uncertainty as he spoke. "Olivia, remember, there's no pressure here. You don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with." I nodded, appreciating his consideration. "I know, George." "Thank you," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. We settled side by side on the plush couch, the silence between us thick with unspoken thoughts and emotions. In that quiet moment, I found myself wondering about George's motivations. Was he, like us, seeking to rekindle a flame in his own marriage? Or was there something else driving him to this unconventional experience? Whatever his reasons, we were here now, on the precipice of something that could change everything. Gradually, I began to open up about my marriage to Wesley, the challenges we'd faced, and the complex emotions that had led us to this point. To my surprise, George reciprocated, sharing his own struggles and hopes. As our conversation flowed, the initial tension began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of camaraderie and understanding. Laughter punctuated our dialogue, easing the atmosphere further. I couldn't help but notice a warmth in George's eyes, tinged with a hint of melancholy. This vulnerability touched something within me, softening my apprehensions. It became clear that we were both navigating uncharted waters, seeking not just physical intimacy, but a deeper connection and understanding. This shared journey created an unexpected bond between us. As our conversation deepened, we revisited the boundaries we had established earlier. We reaffirmed our commitment to mutual respect and prioritizing each other's comfort and enjoyment. This discussion served to strengthen our trust and deepen our connection, creating a safe space for what was to come. The nervousness that had initially gripped us began to melt away, replaced by a growing sense of anticipation. The energy in the room shifted palpably, charged with a mix of excitement and trepidation. George's voice, now steady and reassuring, broke through my thoughts. "Let's just relax and enjoy this moment, okay?" His words acted as a balm, soothing my frayed nerves. I found myself gazing into George's eyes, searching for something. Reassurance? Permission? Whatever it was, I found it there in the depths of his gaze. Slowly, almost reverently, I reached for his hand. It was warm, slightly calloused, and trembling ever so slightly, a reminder that he too was navigating this new territory. Our eyes remained locked as we drew closer, the air between us charged with unspoken emotions and decades of shared history. When our lips finally met, it was like a spark igniting a long-dormant flame. The kiss was gentle at first, a soft exploration of new territory. Yet it felt strangely familiar, as if our years of friendship had somehow prepared us for this moment. My heart raced, my mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. For a brief moment, Wesley's face flashed in my mind, bringing with it a pang of guilt. But I reminded myself that this was a path we had chosen together, an opportunity to reflect on and potentially reinvigorate our relationship. George's hand found its way to my back, his touch both comforting and electrifying. As we parted from the kiss, I opened my eyes to find his gaze filled with a mixture of surprise and desire. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice husky with emotion. I nodded, my voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, keep going." Our next kiss was deeper, more passionate, years of friendship transforming into something entirely new and exhilarating. As we began to undress each other, my hands trembled slightly, a physical manifestation of the myriad emotions coursing through me. George, ever attentive, noticed my nervousness. He took my hand gently, his voice soft and caring. "We can stop anytime, Olivia. You don't have to push yourself." His consideration touched me deeply, reaffirming my trust in him. "I'm okay, George," I replied with a small smile. "This is what we chose. I want this." As we continued, I found myself marveling at the strange beauty of this moment, the vulnerability, the trust, the exploration of new sensations and emotions. It was a complex tapestry of feelings, simultaneously thrilling and terrifying, familiar and utterly new. Whatever the outcome, I knew that this night would leave an indelible mark on our lives, forever changing the landscape of our relationships and our understanding of ourselves. As our clothes fell away and our bare skin made contact, a rush of sensations washed over me. The warmth of George's body against mine was both familiar and thrillingly new, like the first rays of sunlight breaking through after a long winter. A potent cocktail of excitement and nervousness coursed through my veins, setting every nerve ending alight. George's body was a landscape I had never explored before, so different from Wesley's familiar terrain. His fingertips traced intricate patterns across my skin, each touch igniting a spark of pleasure. His lips, soft yet insistent, mapped out new territories of sensation. With every caress, every kiss, I felt as though I was discovering a hidden world of sensuality I never knew existed within me. As George's skilled hands roamed my body, I found myself surrendering to the sheer joy of discovery. Every touch sent ripples of pleasure coursing through me, like tiny electric currents spreading from point to point. When he finally reached the most intimate parts of me, the intensity of the sensation was almost overwhelming. The pleasure built slowly at first, then with increasing urgency, like a wave gathering strength before it crashes upon the shore. Together, we embarked on a journey of mutual exploration, our bodies moving in a dance as old as time itself. The foundation of our long friendship allowed for a level of trust one hadn't anticipated, enabling me to let go of my inhibitions completely. In that moment of profound connection, it felt as though we were adding a new, deeper dimension to our relationship, one built on vulnerability and shared pleasure. In the aftermath, we lay entwined in comfortable silence, the only sound our gradually steadying breaths. The weight of George's arm across my waist felt both protective and slightly unsettling. As the initial rush of endorphins began to subside, I found myself grappling with a complex tapestry of emotions. While I couldn't yet fully comprehend how this experience would affect us moving forward, I sensed that a fundamental shift had occurred. "Thank you," George murmured, his voice thick with emotion. I echoed his sentiment, resting my head against his chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. As I lay there, my mind raced with questions about how tonight's events would influence not only our friendship, but also our respective marriages. Despite the uncertainty, I clung to the hope that this open and honest exploration would ultimately deepen my bond with Wesley. The drive home with Wesley was fraught with an almost palpable tension. We held hands tightly, our fingers intertwined, but a maelstrom of conflicting emotions kept me from breaking the silence. I found myself caught in a web of fears and insecurities. If Wesley expressed enjoyment of his experience with Emily, would I be consumed by jealousy? If I admitted to the pleasure I'd found in George's arms, would it wound Wesley's pride or shake the foundations of our marriage? Waves of guilt and confusion crashed over me as I reflected on the night's events. The physical pleasure I'd experienced with George had been undeniable and far more intense than I'd anticipated. I hadn't realized that such powerful sensations could be evoked by someone other than my husband. This realization left me feeling both exhilarated and deeply anxious about the potential impact on my marriage. On one hand, I desperately wanted this shared experience to strengthen the bond between Wesley and me, to inject a new spark of passion and understanding into our relationship. But I found myself at a loss for words, unsure how to articulate the complex web of emotions tangled within me. In the end, I opted for silence, though I wasn't entirely convinced it was the right choice. I couldn't help but wonder if Wesley was wrestling with similar thoughts and feelings, trapped in his own internal struggle. Despite the turmoil of emotions, I couldn't deny that this experience had awakened something within me, within us. A new energy seemed to crackle between Wesley and me, charged with potential. I clung to the hope that, given time and open communication, our connection would grow deeper and richer, fortified by this shared adventure. However, the euphoria of that moment was short-lived. Just a few days later, an unexpected revelation came to light that would turn our world upside down, challenging everything I thought I knew about trust and honesty. It happened during a casual phone conversation with Sarah, a childhood friend who also knew George well. Without divulging any details about the couple-swapping event, I casually steered our chat towards George, hoping to gain some insight into his life. What I learned left me reeling, my mind struggling to process the information. Sarah revealed that George's wife had passed away several years ago, and he had been living alone ever since. For a moment, my world seemed to tilt on its axis. If George was a widower, then who was Emily? The question echoed in my mind, opening up a chasm of doubt and confusion. Driven by a need for answers, I discreetly reached out to the event organizers. What I discovered sent shockwaves through my already fragile emotional state. It turned out that George had been attending these events regularly, each time with a different woman posing as his partner. His deception had finally come to light when another couple reported his suspicious behavior, leading to the exposure of his elaborate charade. The weight of this revelation crushed me. I had approached this experience with such care and consideration, placing my trust in George as an old friend. Learning the extent of his deception left me grappling with a profound sense of betrayal and an overwhelming guilt towards Wesley. The thought of confessing this additional layer of complication to my husband filled me with dread. Fearing the pain and disappointment it would cause him, I made the difficult decision to keep this revelation to myself, at least for the time being. This experience had taught me a painful lesson about trust, honesty, and the complexities of human relationships. Yet, as I sat with these tangled emotions, I found myself experiencing an unexpected and somewhat troubling reaction. Despite the hurt and confusion, a part of me was already anticipating the next event notification with a mix of trepidation and excitement. The realization that I was drawn to the thrill of these encounters, even in the face of such deceit, left me questioning my own motivations and desires.